Hello and welcome to the podcast. Coming up, we've got Red Bull fined $7 million for F1 cost cap breach. Elon Musk completes $44 billion Twitter takeover and immediately sacks top executives. And ABC loses Doctor Who rights after BBC signs deal with Disney. All this and more is to come on today's show. But first to Formula One and Red Bull. Over the weekend, Red Bull was fined $7 million from the 2021 cost cap that came into effect. An agreement was reached just this weekend. Top Gear has more. Red Bull has been fined $7 million, just over £6 million, and hit with an aero development restriction for next season as a result of breaching the F1 cost cap in 2021. Initially, the team strenuously denied that its cost cap submission was over the amount that was set by the FIA, but it has now entered into an accepted breach agreement, which says the team was judged to have overspent by 1.8 million, 1.8 thousand. So it's not the best for the team. The document mentions various areas in which Red Bull incorrectly excluded and or adjusted costs, including catering, employee social security, and non-F1 activities, among others. However, a statement released by the FIA alongside the published agreement says that Red Bull Racing has acted cooperatively throughout the review process and has sought to provide additional information and evidence when requested in a timely manner. They did not think Red Bull was cheating, in other words. Meanwhile, Aston Martin has been fined $450,000 for a procedural breach relating to the paperwork it filed as part of its submission to the FIA, something Red Bull was punished for. Although the team is being fined $7 million, there won't be a reduction in the amount of money it is allowed to spend next season, as it was rumored. And its 10% reduction in wind tunnel speed and CDF, computational fluid dynamics, or CFD, testing that teams use to develop their uber complicated aero designs is technically only 7%. Remember, as Constructors Champions this season, they were only due 70% of a fixed amount of time in 2023 anyway, so a 10% hit takes them down to 63%. Confused? You're not alone. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the other teams will be dismayed with this punishment. They would argue that if Red Bull had wanted to serve fancier puddings in its hospitality suite, it should have cut down on the performance upgrades. Anyway, the accepted breach agreement was signed on October 26th, so the testing restrictions will be enforced for the next 12 months. And according to the document, the decision of the Cost Cap Administration to enter into the ABA constitutes its final decision resolving this matter and is not subject to appeal. That's the end of it, in other words, or is it? So F1 or Formula One has fined Red Bull $7 million for its F1 cost cap breach of 2021. We'll have more news after this. Elon Musk completes $44 billion Twitter takeover and immediately sacks top executives. This is from Sky News. It ends months of bad blood between the two parties regarding the takeover, with Elon Musk complaining about fake accounts on the platform and claims by a whistleblower that Twitter misled regulations about security risks. Elon Musk has completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter after months of toing and froing over the deal. His first move was to fire the social media company's top leadership, which he accused of misleading him over the number of spam accounts on the platform. Musk sacked Twitter's chief executive, Parag Agrawal, chief financial officer Ned Segal, and legal affairs and policy chief Vijaya Gadde, according to reports. It has also been claimed that Agarwal and Seagal were in Twitter's San Francisco headquarters when the deal closed and were escorted out of the building. Musk later tweeted, "The bird is freed," in a nod to the deal being completed. The Tesla and SpaceX founder was given a deadline of October 28th to close the deal to avoid going to trial after the social media company sued him for trying to rip up his original offer made back in April. Musk and Twitter were due in court on the 17th of October, but it was pushed back after the world's richest man said he would go through with the purchase after all. Earlier this week, Musk posted a bizarre video of himself entering Twitter's San Francisco headquarters carrying a stink, alongside the message, "Entering Twitter HQ, let that sink in." Musk, who has updated his Twitter bio has updated his Twitter bio to Chief Twit, said on Thursday he did not buy the social media platform to make more money, but to try to help humanity, whom I love. He says he wants to defeat spam bots on Twitter, make the algorithms that determine how content is presented to its users publicly available, and prevent the platform from becoming an echo chamber for hate and division, even as he limits censorship. He has not offered details on how he will achieve these wishes and who will run the company, and has so far been vague about his plans. Elon Musk first made an unsolicited bid for Twitter in April, and it's been will he, won't he, on again, off again saga since then. The billionaire has spent the intervening period dropping crumbs of information about what he wants Twitter to be under his control. Musk seems to be suggesting less moderation of what users put on the platform, although he did tweet this week, Twitter obviously cannot become a free for all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences. But there are major midterm elections coming up in the US and a presidential election approaching in Brazil. Both of those events are likely to be plagued by misinformation and election denial, sorry. So this is the first big test for Musk, now in charge of one of the world's biggest communication platforms. We'll find out soon enough where his red lines are. According to reports, Musk told staff during his visit it was not true he was planning on cutting up to 75% of Twitter staff after acquiring the company. It was previously reported that Musk told investors he was hoping to cut around 3/4 of the firm's 7,500 employees. In other plans, the outspoken billionaire has also reportedly referred to a super app, which he has tentatively dubbed X. The concept has drawn comparisons with China's WeChat, which combines familiar features like messaging and a marketplace and public Twitter-style posts into one place. Musk has told investors he plans to sell users premium subscriptions to reduce reliance on ads, allow content creators to make money, and enable payments, according to Reuters news agency. Elsewhere, his plans to cut content moderation are feared to lead to a deluge of hateful, harmful, and potentially illegal content on Twitter. He has previously spoken on his belief in absolute free speech and hinted he would allow suspended and often controversial figures such as US former President Donald Trump to return to the platform. Experts have warned that the world's richest man's loose stance on moderation could be a route for the service's very worst trolls to thrive, turning Twitter into a Wild West where anything goes. The 28th of October deadline was to give Musk time to finance the deal. Had it not been met, a judge in Delaware, the US state where Twitter is incorporated, would have arranged a trial for November. It ends months of bad blood between the two partners regarding the takeover, with Musk complaining about fake accounts on the platform and claims by a whistleblower that Twitter misled regulators about security risks. It also emerged earlier this month that Musk is being investigated by federal authorities over his conduct. For more on science and technology, explore the future with Sky News at Big Ideas Live 2022. So I suppose it will be interesting to see what happens with Twitter in respect to what Elon Musk has planned for it, but that's all easier said than done. So we'll just see how that plays out. Up next, we've got Doctor Who and Disney. ABC loses rights after BBC signs deal with the media conglomerate. That's next. And finally, our last item is ABC loses Doctor Who rights after BBC signs deal with Disney. This is from The Guardian. All new seasons of the show will stream exclusively on Disney Plus outside the UK and Ireland. The ABC has lost the rights to new episodes of the sci-fi series Doctor Who after the BBC signed a global deal with Disney-branded television. It is the end of a 50-year partnership between the BBC and the public broadcaster in Australia, and the end of the British series on free-to-air television in Australia. Whovians will need to pay $11.99 a month subscription to the streaming service Disney Plus to watch the show from 2023. The ABC has had a long and close relationship with Doctor Who, and a blue model Tardis still takes centre stage in the foyer of the ABC headquarters in Sydney's Ultimo. A former ABC managing director, Mark Scott, was a huge fan and hinted at the importance of the rights back in 2014. I believe that in the long history of the ABC, that's the Australian Broadcasting Company, there was, not to be confused with Disney's ABC, which is the American Broadcasting Company, I think. There has only ever been one program for which we believed the Australian rights must cover all time and space dimensions, and that is the magnificent Doctor Who, he said. Scott said on Wednesday he never felt that the BBC quite understood the value and importance of a 90-year-old relationship with the sibling public broadcaster down under when faced with bundles of commercial cash. From next year, however, all new seasons of the British hit show with the incoming Doctor, Scottish actor Ncuti Gatwa, will stream exclusively on Disney Plus outside the UK and Ireland. After a long friendship spanning more than 50 years, the universe has called the Doctor in a different direction, and Doctor Who will no longer appear on the ABC beyond the current season, the ABC said on Wednesday. ABC audiences can currently enjoy past seasons of Doctor Who, including the recent centenary special on ABC iView. We are incredibly grateful to the generations of Whovians who have enjoyed Doctor Who with us on the ABC. Everyone at the ABC wishes the Doctor well on their adventures, and we hope the Time Lord will visit us again at some stage in the future. The announcement was made overnight by Gatwa during an appearance on Live with Kelly and Ryan. In May, the BBC announced Gatwa, 29, will take over from Jodie Whittaker and become the 14th Doctor. Well, that's wrong, because David Tennant is the 14th Doctor, not the... So Gatwa will then be the 15th Doctor. However, there was a surprise twist in Monday's episode when Whittaker regenerated into not Ncuti, but into returning Time Lord David Tennant as the 14th Doctor. The president of Disney Plus, Adisa Bowen, said that the show would be introduced to the next generation of audiences in more than 150 markets. The series is a perfect addition to our ever-growing catalogue of global content that continues to make Disney Plus the home of exceptional storytelling, Bowen said. The series showrunner, Russell T Davies, said the deal combined the vision and the joy of the BBC and Disney. Together, we can launch the Tardis all around the planet, reaching a new generation of fans while keeping our traditional home firmly here in the UK on the BBC, he said. BBC Chief Content Officer Charlotte Moore said the broadcaster was committed to ensuring that audiences across the globe get the opportunity to enjoy the Doctor's epic adventures with the scale and ambition that they deserve. And that's it for this episode of the podcast. I'll be back in a few weeks' time with more news to follow. Thank you very much for listening. And before I go, if you're interested in following this podcast, don't forget to give us a follow on Spotify, as it helps grow the audience. As it helps grow the audience numbers, and it helps motivate me make more content for you. So a follow would be very much appreciated. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you again very soon for more.